Hi, my name is Lily Huff, and I'm presenting over coffee in the 18th century. Why, you might ask? Well, I love coffee. I've always wondered where it started in London. From this class has made me think about it a lot. And so I was like, wow, I'll do my presentation over that, and I'll do a video because it's fun. And I'll make a whiteboard and I'll draw on it and make designs, and here are my sources. Okay, so let's get started because it's a journey. Take a sip of the beautiful bean if you have some at home, or tea or water, that's up to you. So, in the 18th century, a man from Spain went to Turkey, tried some coffee there. He said, I like this. Let's take this to London. So he did. He opened up the first coffee house in London, and coffee had, of course, never been to London because he was the first coffee house. And so when people started trying it, how they described it was it gave a new kind of buzz, which we can look to today as like the caffeine rush that you get. Well, just as you get the rush, you get the drop, which they had never experienced before. So it was like this kind of great buzz and then drops. So they wanted more, and that's, because coffee is a drop, apparently. Moving on. So after he opened up the first coffee house, hundreds just exploded all over London. So many as the locals thought that there were over 3,000, but in reality there were only about 500. Why the big misconception? Why so many just bad numbers, I guess? Well, analytics were a little bit low on the totem pole of needs at the time, and so people just guessed about how many there were. Of course, if you see 1 every 2 feet, you're gonna think there are thousands in the city. Can you hate on them? No. Do we still love them? Absolutely. So even though coffee houses were rising in popularity, people were drinking it, they just thought it was so great and fun, great alternative to a pub or a bar, there were actually people who didn't like them. And you might ask, who could not like coffee? How can coffee even be given a bad name if so many people loved it and there were so many popping up? Lily, did you have bad research? No, I did not have bad research. It's because there was one group of people who did not like the drink, and it was women. Women did not like it. And you might wonder, why not? Why couldn't they drink it too? It's not that kind of a problem. The problem was this. The women's petition against coffee said the reason that they bemoaned coffee was because of the newfangled, abominable, heathenish liquor called coffee had transformed their industrious, virile men into effeminate, babbling layouts. Wow, they really hated coffee. Those were a lot of intense words that meant a lot of mean things. Well, that's what happens when you get a coffee crash. And so women hated it, but they eventually lost this fight against coffee because so many people loved it and they were outnumbered, and women didn't have the most rights back then. So, as coffee, even though it hit some bumps in the roads, coffee still grew in popularity, even though it tasted disgusting. It was nasty. It was so bitter, so gross, but they were drinking it because they just started drinking it so much that their bodies got used to it and they just had to have it. Well, coffee houses were also so loved because they were so diverse. Got this lovely, colorful diversity. Because, first of all, no drink had been the same, so this was like a new space. It was a new atmosphere. In communications, this is practically, because that's part of what I'm learning as well. It was like a new idea in people's minds was a coffee shop, versus when you go to a courthouse, the first idea is you're going to think that people who are in power are going to speak. Well, who's going to speak at a coffee shop? There's been no precedence before, so classism kind of fell under the radar. Anyone could speak, and coffee did something a little different for everyone apparently, because for Sir Isaac Newton, Samuel Pepys, and Sir Hans Sloane, it made them all want to debate each other, or debate really anyone in the room. So with that going on, also Joseph Addison, who was the publisher of the Spectator magazine, also commented on what coffee houses were to him, and he believed that the coffee house existed as a refuge from the savagery and anonymity of bustling urban society. So coffee houses became this space where anyone could speak, where people could discuss ideas, logic, art, music, specifically also writing and poetry. Poets would go there to discuss ideas on what they were thinking about through their walks on nature, like Keats would do. Do we know if he went to a coffee house specifically? No. But could he have discussed there? Maybe. Who knows? We don't know for sure. Anywho, with all that was happening with coffee houses, there was just this space where, like I said before, classism was not there as intense as in the public eye, which actually scared some upper class officials, because they were like, well, our society is low-key based on it's based on classism, and how are we going to keep people in their class if we have these coffee shops? Well, before they had to deal with it, it was fine, because coffee houses did get dethroned by tea. So, like I said before, coffee back then was disgusting, like literally so bitter and nasty. So when tea started coming back into the public eye, the fact that it was cheaper than coffee, tasted better, and was just all around a better option, people started buying that more. Coffee houses soon fell onto the radar into non-existence for a couple of years until, we're back with coffee house culture. So throughout the 18th century, coffee became something that brought together people with great ideas that they wanted to discuss, especially with literature and poetry. And I think that's really incredible that something as simple as a drink of caffeine could bring together so many great minds to discuss just what we read about today and what we learn about. That was coffee houses in the 18th century. I hope you enjoyed it. Here are my sources. Take a drink of the beautiful bean if you've never had before. If that's not your thing, that's okay. Get a cup of tea, even though it dethroned this gem. I hope you guys are having a great quarantine, a happy and healthy one as well. Have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.